Hi, this is Zach Meir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday the 24th of February, one of the finest rundowns of the markets around, obviously. Starting off with the FTSE 100, we've got this uptrend line there from the middle of last month, which we identified a few days ago. The line there currently around 86.40, and that's roughly been the low that we've had on the latest pullback from record highs at 88.20. While there's no end-of-day close back below 86.40, looking for a retest of 88.20 and hopefully beyond. Best case scenario at the moment is that we head up to the top of the main channel there, red line 9,000 by the end of next month. Black line there is the mid-channel line, and that was hit at 87.40. On the downside, probably if we do break down, not expecting anything worse than 8600 anyway, which was the initial January resistance, and that's set off the back of the RSI still being at 54, nearly 55, just above the neutral 50 level. Moving on to the DAX in Germany, where there's apparently been a little bit of political activity over the weekend, etc., and the market here basically bouncing off the floor of that gap higher that we had earlier this month, 22,200. We were factoring a push perhaps as low as 22,000, but managed to avoid that so far. And while we're above 22,000, looking at the top of the channel there, as high as 23,300 by the end of next month. RSI is still well above neutral 50, so feeling relatively confident about the outlook there, at least while we're above 22,000. Moving on to the Dow, which had a rather painful end to the week and did what we didn't want it to do, which was fall below the 50-day line there at 43,700. Even worse is the way that that's currently falling, and even worse than that is the way that the RSI is now well below neutral 50. That means we've got the risk of a test of the floor of that rising trend channel from back in March last year, around 42,700, and we could even go down to 42,600, the floor of that gap from the beginning of last month. Early and end of day close back above the 50-day line, 43,700, gives us the chance of revisiting the highs, 45,000 plus. Moving on to Bitcoin, which has managed to be within this range between an uptrend line there from November at 94,000 and the 50-day line at 99,000. We've also got the floor of the rising trend channel there from April, with the floor around 93,000 now, so hopefully any pullback we see, if we do break down, will be limited to around the 93,000 area. RSI has failed multiple times at neutral 50 since the beginning of this month, but not really fallen in terms of the price appreciably, which is actually a good sign, even though the 50-day line here is also falling. So hoping that the low will be put in towards 93,000 and we can then head back up and revisit the highs. Moving on to gold, and here the market probably doing as well as we could expect, in the sense that we've got support there, 28.75. We've stayed on the right side of 2900 for most of the time since we broke out through it, and looking for the top of the rising trend channel there from this time last year at 30.20 now by the end of next month, or perhaps even sooner than that. But this market really flying and really moving very smoothly, considering how volatile it can be. Looking at pound dollar as well, we haven't looked at that for a while. Still enjoying the way that Deutsche Bank said it was a sell at around 121 at the beginning of last month. Currently attempting to break the main support line there, which was what's now become resistance, around 126.80. If we get it through 126.80, then really we're looking at a move back up to 133, which would imply that there won't be any further interest rate cuts and other nasties as well. Upside valid while we're above the 50-day line, 124.60 on this market. Going on to the stocks, and starting off with Borders and Southern, who I interviewed last week, and here in the wake of the fundraise, we see the shares actually rising, which is always impressive and is actually a very strong signal on a fundamental basis. And we've also got the rising trend channel from October heading towards 7.8 pence, which could be hit by the end of next month, while we remain above 5 pence. RSI has bounced above neutral 50, so that is also a leading indicator on the upside. Don't always just look at the small stocks. Chemring I looked at last week or the week before, and here it's nearly a £1 billion company now. We're looking at this when the shares broke through the resistance there towards £3.50. We had an unfilled gap to the upside through the 50-day line, and that was the signal. We've hit our first target there, £3.70, perhaps rather more quickly than we imagined. We've got a second target now as high as £4.65, which could be hit by the end of next month. Onto a stock which has had a rather rough ride in the recent past, but I suppose given that it is Conroy Gold, one would expect a bit of a re-rate here. We've had a bear trap iron reversal, so gapping down in October and then gapping up, unfilled gap to the upside that we had earlier this month. That is actually one of the strongest signals in the charting book, and we've got the 50-day line rising, so above that at 2.8, looking for at least 6.7 pence. Whether there's lots of gold there or not, to paraphrase somebody on X. Moving along to a stock which we can see is a decent one, or has been a decent one over the recent past, Corcel. Here you can see we've got a rising trend channel base with an unfilled gap to the upside last week and another one to start this week, so looking pretty strong there with a rising 50-day line. If we cut out the near-term noise above 0.15, looking for 0.28 on Corcel over, well, hopefully by the end of next month. Moving along to Deliveroo, another stock which I don't normally look at, but it's just too exciting at the moment. Unfilled gap to the upside through a rising 200-day line, £1.41. We've had 2 or 3 bounces at or near neutral 50, so that is a positive. And while we're above that 200-day moving average at £1.40, looking for the top of the range, around £1.65. by the end of next month. EQTEC is next, which I've covered a few times in the last few days, last few sessions. Here you can see that the shares are trying to rebound within this falling trend channel. We've had 3 out of the last 4 sessions with the shares opening at the low, closing at the high, and the 50-day lines already rising at 0.5. And we have been looking for 0.9 basically, which is the top of that falling channel, and near to the 200-day moving average while we're above 0.5 pence. Big news today from EnergyPathways, which is the stock that you should look at if you're into net zero. Unfortunately, I'm not, but here we have a situation where we've got that resistance line there from back at the end of October. We need to see an end-of-day close above 8 pence to open up the possibility of a move to the top of that rising trend channel from September as high as 13 pence, and that would or should happen by the end of next month, as soon as we get an end-of-day close back above 8 pence. The reason for the big call on the upside is the way that we've had a bear trap reversal, bear trap gap reversal, and an end-of-day close through recent resistance would seal the deal, as would an end-of-day close for the RSI above neutral 50, which it hasn't been properly above for a couple of months. Only back below today's current low at 6.8 pence, really questioning a rebound scenario. On to stock which I get covered now and again, which is Great Southern Copper, and here it looks enough work's been done to get the shares through 1 3/4 pence over the course of this week. We can do that and remain above the 50-day line at 1.5 pence. The target is 2.8 pence by the end of next month at the top of that rising trend channel from back in March. On to Hemogenyx, which occasionally confesses to coming up with massive developments in terms of curing various ailments. Here you can see that the leukemia breakthrough has been matched by a rebound back towards the 50-day moving average at 368 pence. Want to see an end-of-day close above the gap to give us a gap close buy signal. That's at £3.40, so above 3.40. Looking for at least a retest of the £4 area by the end of next month. But as we've seen previously, most rallies here have been sold into quite quickly. Stock which I've interviewed but don't normally chart very much is Iofina, but here we've got here we had a golden cross buy signal last week around or just below 22 pence. We've had a bounce off RSI 50 and looking for 29 pence by the end of next month. The chart here looking better than it has done for a long time. Ideally we stay above the recent support there at 21 pence, whatever happens. Another stock which doesn't get much coverage here or anywhere else is Mineral and Financial, but we're just hitting our first big target there at the red line, 22 pence, and above that on an end-of-day close basis, looking for the next level up at 30 pence by the end of next month. Massive re-rate there for the shares, which is pleasing after quite a long time in the wilderness. Speaking of wilderness, Novacyt has been sort of rather stuck. It's near the floor of its recent range, just below 50 pence. It's basically been a range between 50 and 70, and we are expecting another of those attempts at heading to the top of the range. Hopefully, one day the shares will go up to 70 and then stay there. At the moment, we're looking for progress within the broadening triangle that I've just drawn. So above 48 pence, looking for 67 or 66 pence. By the end of next month. An end-of-day close back above the 50-day line today at 53 pence would make us feel much better. On to the last two. The first one don't think I've ever covered before, which is Personal Group. Here we've got a rising trend channel. The recent support there, £2.20 and above 2.20, looking for £2.55 at the top of the March rising trend channel, and we're looking for that by the end of next month. Nice rebound above RSI 50. We had a week or so ago as well, helping the cause, as is the way the 50 and 200-day lines are both rising. In fact, we're probably looking for much more than that target towards £2.55. But let's see if we can get there first. Finishing off with a stock which I haven't looked at as much as I should have, which makes me feel somewhat amiss on the charting front. But here we've got Thor Explorations, which looks like it's finally going to live up to the fantastic or excellent fundamentals here, and decent CEO as well. Rising trend channel there from the early part of 2023, top of the channel there, heading for 32 pence, which we're looking for as soon as the end of next month, on the basis that we are finding fresh support at and above old resistance, and we gapped up earlier in the month as well. So basically above 20 pence, looking for 32 pence on Thor. And you can also see we've had bounces for the RSI above neutral 50, which should help this situation accelerate. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.